Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're dusting off the 19th century oil rush to uncover the absolute blueprints of the modern corporate monopoly. We're going to study the man who essentially wrote the code for American capitalism, John D. Rockefeller. Let's jump right in. I want you to picture America back in the 1850s and 60s. The nation is rapidly getting powered up by machines, massive factories, expanding railroads, and this strange new substance that is about to completely transform the globe. Oil. Unimaginable fortunes are being created almost overnight, right? So, in this incredibly chaotic era, ask yourself a simple question. What exactly do you chase in an oil rush? Well, while frantic speculators and everyday entrepreneurs rushed out into the field chasing the exact same thing, literally just trying to get more oil out of the ground, John D. Rockefeller chased something else entirely. He chased control. You see, he realized very early on that he didn't actually need to own every single oil well. Instead, he just wanted to dictate everything that happened after that oil came out of the ground.
Section 1. Chasing Control, the Foundation of an Empire.
As a young, intensely analytical bookpaper in 1850s Cleveland, Rockefeller permanently shaped his worldview. He learned the vital importance of tracking absolutely every penny, every expense, every payment, and every debt. He noticed something fascinating. While typical entrepreneurs fixated entirely on top-line revenue, he realized he needed to focus relentlessly on cost. He figured out that if he could just produce the exact same product for less money, he could easily survive the brutal price wars that would inevitably destroy his rivals. And that simple, calculating philosophy, that became the absolute bedrock of Standard Oil.
The early oil industry in Pennsylvania was, well, it was a total mess. Prices were collapsing randomly, product quality was all over the place, and pure speculators were running rampant. Rockefeller entered refining specifically to bring some order to this chaos. He standardized the refining processes, he reduced industrial waste, and he squeezed pennies wherever humanly possible. Seriously, he once famously mandated that oil cans be sealed with exactly 39 drops of solder instead of 40. That one drop saved an absolute fortune over time. He also used byproducts instead of throwing them away, negotiated aggressively, and slashed transport costs. Every single improvement systematically increased his efficiency, meaning Standard Oil grew stronger and stronger with every change.
Section 2. Mastering Vertical Integration, Building the Machine. Refining, as highly profitable as he made it, was really just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Rockefeller realized that if outside suppliers raised their prices or if railroads overcharged him, his margins simply disappeared. The solution? Vertical integration. This means expanding a company's control over multiple stages of its operation to systematically reduce outside dependency. He was moving way beyond just the refinery to capture the entire journey of the oil, literally from the raw material all the way down to the end customer. Let's look at the exact steps he took to achieve this incredible dominance. Step 1. Taking control of the pipelines and those massive storage facilities. Step 2. Securing transportation and infrastructure. Because Standard Oil was now shipping enormous volumes, Rockefeller had incredible leverage with railway companies. This allowed him to negotiate highly favorable rates that just starved out smaller competitors. And Step 3. Managing the vast distribution networks directly to the customer. By doing all of this, Standard Oil created unmatched bargaining power and a scale that was practically unbeatable.
Section 3. The Antitrust Breakup, Monopoly and Irony.
This immense scale eventually grew into the Standard Oil Trust. It was a machine that was incredibly difficult to challenge, especially as he continuously acquiring competing refineries left and right. But by the 1880s, this towering dominance sparked a massive new problem. As America moved into the progressive era, investigative journalists started heavily exposing corporate power and ruthless business tactics. The public grew deeply skeptical of monopolies, asking some really hard questions about unchecked corporate influence. And this ultimately pressured the government into stepping in and aggressively utilizing antitrust laws. Which brings us to a truly monumental year in American business history, 1911. Facing intense legal challenges, the Supreme Court officially ordered the dissolution of Standard Oil under the Sherman Antitrust Act. The massive, centralized company was ordered to be broken apart into multiple independent entities. At first glance, it really looked like Rockefeller had definitively lost his empire. But here's the grand irony of this entire saga. The government successfully dismantled the largest corporate monopoly ever created, but those broken pieces, they evolved into titans like Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, and Amoco. And because Rockefeller kept heavy ownership interests in all these newly independent, highly successful companies, breaking the monopoly didn't actually destroy his fortune. It completely transformed and multiplied it, making him significantly wealthier than ever before.
Crazy, right?
Section 4. Building an institutional empire, philanthropy and legacy. So the government dismantled the monopoly, sure, but his staggering, unprecedented fortune remained completely intact. This allowed him to embark on a completely new and arguably even more influential phase of empire building. True to his deeply analytical nature, he didn't just hand cash out randomly. Through the Rockefeller Foundation, he heavily supported universities, funded vital medical research, backed expansive public health campaigns, and built enduring scientific institutions. He wanted his philanthropy to function exactly like a well-oiled machine, continuously producing measurable scientific and social results. And this brilliantly illustrates our core theme here. The oil empire created the money. The institutions preserved the influence. You see, the business itself made him incredibly wealthy, but it was these lasting, carefully structured institutions that ensured his family's power, name, and influence would survive for generations to come. The empire of oil disappeared as a single centralized entity, but the empire of institutions, that absolutely remained. Section 5. The Modern System Strategy, a century-old playbook. So how exactly does a 19th century oil tycoon apply to our world today? Why are we studying a playbook from when American capitalism was still being invented? Well, it's because his underlying strategy, controlling entire ecosystems rather than just selling isolated products, is the exact blueprint used by modern tech giants to build unassailable advantages. Think about it. Amazon tightly controls logistics and distribution. Apple unifies hardware, software, and services into one inescapable ecosystem. Toyota masters manufacturing processes and supplier relationships. The playbook is virtually identical across the board. Control the system, reduce dependency, and build an advantage that competitors simply cannot easily reproduce.
This brings us to a truly profound realization. A business can make you rich, but a system can make you powerful. Rockefeller absolutely proved that simply discovering oil isn't what makes you dominant. What makes you dominant is understanding and owning the refining, the transportation, the logistics, the purchasing, and the distribution. It's about owning the entire system surrounding the product. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you to deeply ponder the mechanics of power, scale, and legacy. The greatest business empires in history are rarely remembered only for what they sold. They're remembered for the massive systems they created that fundamentally changed how the world operates. So in your own endeavors, your own career, or your own business, ask yourself, are you building a product or are you building a system? Thank you so much for exploring the blueprints of empire with me today. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and I'll see you in the next one.